Hello, this is Max Drake. For programming and learning programming, I'd like to talk to you about macros. Now, there's a tool called AutoHotKey, and there's another one called Auto Scripting Language, which is Auto IT Scripting Language as well, that you can use on a PC, and they work in the Windows environment. So they work in the Windows environment, and that means you can start reacting to programs or the Windows environment itself. There's another one called Automate, all lowercase. There's one called Auto with a capital M, which is I think for cars, which is in Google for Android and things like that. So these are all free tools. Now AutoHotKey's been around for a while, and one of the ones I love it that I don't even think about it anymore. It's something that I use all the time. On this one, I'm going to use Control plus Alt plus D, and it writes my email. So I don't have to type out my email all the time. I can actually go into forms and things like that, and I can do that now if I wanted to. And this was a standard form that I was doing, or I was logging into this particular service all the time. It might say, what's your name? And then you could go tab, and then you can have a password. So all of that could be banged into a thingamabob, and then you go tab again onto there and go enter. And I don't even know what this site is, and try another one or thing like that. And so it can actually automate you just going in and logging into something. So that's dead easy for doing something there, you know, especially for ones that you're repeating quite a lot. I generally, but you see, if you've got them in tabbing, you may not have that format in other forms and things like that. So I've actually generally got the mapping for my email account, really. For the rest of the password things, I try to keep it a bit more secure. So that's an easy way. So that's just using an AutoHotKey, and you can actually assign a whole lot of little macro things to actually work. Now that one will work in anything. So if I'm typing an email, I can say from or something, or please reply to this email or something. Or there's another one which you can do, which you do a text expander. So another text expander that I can actually have through here is that I can actually go by the way space, and it just transforms that BTW to a web page, and I just go enter, and in it goes. Now just on that enter key, I'm just going to go back and go to another one here. I'm going to type 1Z spacebar, and this just writes out a little bit of text through there. So I can do a text expand, type that. Now with text expanders, be a little bit bloody careful on them, if that you want to make sure you don't want to put something like 1-2 space in if you use it, or things. So you want obscure ones like 1x. It's not obvious that you don't often type in 1x unless it's part of your password or something like that, because it might trigger off and that text expand instead of what you're actually trying to do. So if you use something like www for thing, and you kept on typing www, it suddenly triggered itself, or www, it would suddenly be a nuisance if you were trying to type in an actual web address or something like that. So just use something a little bit obscure. So that's why I've just used the one there and just assigned it to that one there. And again, the other one, what did I say it was? By the way. So again, that's just an abbreviation that you can remember. So if you've got a whole load of websites that you're actually trying to bang onto or something like that, you can actually just kind of go, if it's the BBC, you can go BB and then just spacebar, and then what happened to there? By the way spacebar. That one's just hit through there. Now that one I need to do an enter at the end. Now this is another thing that I've done inside this macro, is that I'm in this macro through here, and I'm working off a laptop. Now on a laptop, the enter key is on the right hand side. Now I always rest my hand on my mouse all the time, so I don't like taking my hand off the mouse to use the keyboard unless I'm actually just doing a whole lot of typing in Word or an email or something like that. For this times I just rest my hand on my mouse. So I'd really like to have an enter key on the left hand side. So what I'm going to press instead is the tilde key. So I've now mapped my tilde key, which is the one just below escape, to being enter. Now that's fine, and then I suddenly think I want tilde. Well, I've actually got this little macro that I'm running at the moment called mkeys, which is the ones that I've got for mapping my things. Now if I come into there, and I'm just going to go by the way and go space through into there. Now if I go tilde, all I'm doing is getting a whole load of tildes, because I've stopped that macro running that I've run all the time. Now the one that I run there, which is my M keys, I actually get it to start on startup. So it starts on startup, so I don't have to think about it. And these ones with all these little shortcut keys that I actually do, they happen across, I just copy them across to all of my other computers and things like that. Now, if I compiled it, I can actually do my programming and testing inside AutoHotKey. And if you actually do that, it's just a script. So you can do it with a text editor, something like Notepad++, or I'm actually doing this one here inside of Visual Studio Code, free, all free tools again. This one here, and here's the by the way, and it says go to that website there, and then I've got so it goes : by the way, BTW : and it says just replace that with that when I hit the spacebar. So type that and then hit spacebar, and the 1Z, and it just comes out and does that part through there. So that's how that's actually working. So it's not particularly complicated. Another one that I've actually got this one running through here is that I can be in a different program. Let's just go and open up my browser. I'm just going to go into the desktop here, and I'm going to go Control-Shift-W. Now it's now opened up Firefox, and it's now trying to open up about 10 web pages. They're pages that I look at first thing in the morning. So there's a whole lot on news. There's 3 or 4 news ones. I open up a Google Sheets spreadsheet, a couple of ones. I've got one which I do with journaling. I've got one where I actually look at all of my views on for all of my playlists or whatever they're called there, and see how many people have been viewing my things as to which ones are popular and which ones aren't. Not that I'm particularly bothered, I just do what I want anyway. And then I've got a whole lot of stuff on COVID that I actually just go. So I've got a few worldometer things to looking at the state of COVID, and then I actually look on things like on the tabs whenever it comes up. I look on Oceania just to see how New Zealand's doing, and then I've got something like the local news here, stuff. So that's really handy. So instead of actually going through and opening up a whole lot of bookmarks, I've just got a Control-Shift-1, so it's 3 buttons all pushed together, or 3 keys all pushed together, and it does the opening up all for me. Now if this one works and I'm comfortable with it and I use it all the time, I'll use that mapping and I'll put that into my script that I start automatically on update, and just use it whenever I do it across my computer. So I think, no, that's a handy one. I can do it, and that's quite great. So these are ones that I use. Another way that I've used this tool. Now, how do we write the scripts? Now, there's a thing called Pullover's macro. Have I got that open now? This is Pullover's macro creator, another free tool. It's got some fantastic videos on how to use it, and he's using it in some quite smart ways, and he gives good demonstrations and good practical examples on that. He's got another 4 videos on this, and you'll see a few people who've used this to actually build his macros. So what if we come into actually running that program itself? What I'm doing on this one here, I'm just going to turn this one here off, and I'm just going to show that script. So what this is doing here, and let's actually doing it, is I'm coming through and I'm activating a window. Now, what window am I actually activating? If I come into here, I want to activate Firefox. So it's actually activating Firefox. And so what that does is it brings that program to the front. Now, what we can actually do is we can put an if-then statement. So if Firefox isn't open, we can say if Firefox is open, activate it. If it isn't open, start Firefox. So that's another way, and then activate it. So we can actually go through some if-then statements, which is what I've actually got. If Win exists, open Firefox and do all of this. If it doesn't, run the program and open Firefox. So that's what it's doing there. Another thing that I do is if you've run a script and the script is running and you don't want to run it anymore, you've got to come down to your tray, right hand click, you've got to hover over it. If I just come back to that one there, hover over the script that's running just to make sure it's the right one that you actually want. Right hand click on it and exit. Now that's a bit of a nuisance every time to come into a tray. Then if you want to start it again, you've got to come in, find the actual text file location of what you're actually running through there, which is that one there, and double click it, and now it's started back down in the tray again. So now it's running again. So every time if I'm debugging on something or doing that again, and it's a real nuisance having to do that. So what I do is inside the scripts, I actually write another script that just exits the app. So if I know it's running, or I try and run that script again, so I actually go to run that script. Oops, sorry, wrong one. If I go to run that script again, it suddenly says there's an older script running. Do I want to overwrite it? Now, never do you want to overwrite it, because what it does is if that's reassigned different keys to different things, so you end up with some of those other ones maybe still operating, so you might get garbage out. So the best thing to do is actually just stop that program again. So I'm just using Control Q, and now it's cancelled out of that. Oh, was it Control Q? That one's still running. I think it's Control Q. Oh, there, it killed it there. So it's now killed it out of there. So I don't have to come into that tray and do it. I can actually just do it from anywhere. So if I now run that one again, now I'm going to run it in which is this program here, and I'm going to run it inside of Visual Studio Code, because you can work in the debug mode and you get errors through here if your code isn't quite right. You get errors inside Pullover's macro as well. So this is just my preferred method to do it. So I've got that one running now. Now you see it's active through there. Now I can come through here and I can do things. Now, one of the things that I just want to highlight through here is you're doing a script and it gets a bit buggy on you, or you do it and nothing happens. So what I actually like doing is I like sticking a message box through there, and I'm just going to save that now. Now I'm just going to cancel out of that, save it, and now run it again. Now what I'm going to do into here is I'm going to go Control-Shift-W, so it opens up Firefox, brings it to the front so it's running, and now it does the first one, so it's opening the first page, then it has the pop-up menu. Now what that does is it's pausing the menu until you press OK through there, but what it's done is it's gone through all of that part of the code, so you know that part of the code is working. So that's why I find message box really helpful, and then once you know that bit of code running, you can rem it out. You need to cancel out of it, so we cancel out of that, and then we just save that again. So I find that's a really good way of doing things. So again, another one for doing a remap. Now I'm just going to go and kill the other one that I've got running there. So I'm just going to exit that one there. I can't remember what the kill switch I've got on that one there. And I'm just going to use the tilde is equal to enter. So what I've now just done there is I've just remapped my tilde key to enter. Okay, if I go save onto that, now if I run this program through here, I'm getting no errors down into here. It's actually running. So if I just go into, and I'm going to go B into here and go tilde, it's not working. So I haven't quite written it right. It's doing something wrong. So I haven't got that quite right yet as to how that's supposed to work. I'm going to kill out that. What was that? Control Q out of that one just to kill that. And then I'll actually have to go and do a lookup. But what you can actually do, I've got it in another one. I'm going to show that there. AutoHotKey remap keys. So I'm just going into the AutoHotKey thingbob and finding remapping keys, keyboards and mouse, and A to B. So sorry, so I've just got to have. So let's actually just have a look at that code. So that's what I've got, tilde. Oh, I had the wrong thing there. So there, save. So now if I run that, and now if I go into there, I'll open another tab just to make sure, and just go B and go tilde. Now it's actually, oh, no, it's actually done a text expander. What the hell happened there? B, tilde. There, it's running now. So now it's actually running as an enter key. So that's another thing that you can do with remapping. So you can do text expanding. So inside here, I've got the by the way, and then I just hit the space bar and it does that. Now I can actually just press the tilde key and off I go, and it opens up the web page like that. I've got other macros that I'm doing. You can test those things. You can use the help file through there. ones that I'm doing, and again, just as an example of that, is that I work in a modeling area, and one of the things that I'm doing now, I do write buggy AutoHotKey scripts, and the macros tend to be a bit buggy. I go and use them on another computer or something like that, and they break. And so what you find you have to do is you get your initial win, and then you actually find you've got to go and clean the code up, or it only works on your computer and doesn't work on somebody's computer. So you actually have to start incrementally finding different processes of doing this. So on this particular one, to actually write inside this building modeling program, I've got to do a whole lot of processes, and to actually code those processes in, I've got to use something like C#, and then I've also got to use the Revit API commands and things like that, and that's quite hard work. And then you've got to compile it. So what I've actually got in here is that I've got another one, Control D, which brings this pop-up menu, which is called AutoHotPy, and the link in the thing, which will run this program. So if I come across to here, it will run that particular function. So now it's started that function, and I've actually mapped them to a hotkey, and I think it's Shift-1 going through here. It isolates that, it goes into a add-in through there, and I say I want the second parameter down, which is this area 1, and then I go OK. It selects all of those and colors the doors, and it isolates them so I can see the doors to see that they're all the correct type. I could do them by instance in a way, which type of door, or I'm doing them by side, which ones are big doors and which ones are little doors, or whatever. And so I can color through on that, and then if I want to get out of that, I can use Control A, and it will come through, and it's only gone so far way through that. I'm going to do Control A there again. It's not doing it. It's got to go into, why isn't that running? It's got a bit buggy there. Is that still running? No, oh yeah, it's still running. It should be running. It should have gone through and done a last thing through here, which is bring this run through here and do that. So something got slightly stuck through there. But this is one of the things you've got to do a lot of testing to it to make it work. Another one that I actually done on this one here, this is a sort of a schedule, but it's not. You can only select one thing at a time. If I go and change that to something else, if I go and change that to that, then I want to select all the other ones and change them, I've got to go and do them individually. So it's a very tedious way to do. So in this program, a lot of people export it to Excel, do a lot of updates in there, bring the data back in again, something like that. One of the ways I did was I actually wrote a macro that I'm actually going to start in that cell there, and if I just go Control D with this one here and run CSV to schedule through there, it's going to go through and find a CSV, and this one just has a whole load of blank rows in the CSV, which is a comma separated file. It's got 6 columns across. Okay, it will now go through and delete everything in those columns. To go through and manually do each one of those would be extremely tedious to do. So that was one which actually goes and gets information. So like that text expander, where the text expander takes a bit of information, you can actually go and get a text expander, but go to a file, open up a file and take all of the information from that file and copy and paste it into your whatever document you're doing. So you don't actually have to have the specific text in there. You can have it in those separate files as to what you actually want to cut and paste into things, and you can just go and grab those files and do that. Now that's the same as a copy and a paste and a thing like that, but in some situations it might be a better scenario, especially if you're trying to do data input things. So this is something where you're doing a lot of repetition through there. So within here with the Win Activate through there, so we got the Win Activate here, and this one's just a demonstrator of that one. So we're going to go and edit this one here. So this is activating a window, and we're going to say go and activate, and what are we going to go and activate? We got the wrong thing through here. We're going to go and activate right-hand click through. You can activate the title, the class, the process, the ID, the PID. Careful of PIDs, because if you shut the programs down like browser, if you're in Firefox browser and you're going to a special page, you shut the browser down, open it up again, its ID will most probably change. So careful how you use that one. I'm just using the process, just says open up the browser. So whatever player Bob has said. Then I'm going to do another thing. I'm going to go and click on the mouse. Now, I just want to show this interesting thing through here. So we're just going to go and re-click on that one there. And we're going to go into here. And if we come up, we're just going to refresh this. Now, if you see, as I'm dragging across, there's this box giving us a whole lot of information about all the stuff inside there. But I'm going up to here, and if you see on the very top left-hand side of the box, it gives the coordinates. So that's saying that it's x138, y130. So let's just escape out of that, and we pop up into that, and we just cancel out of that. Now, the left mouse button, we're just going to delete that at this point in time. And if I just refresh this, that's what we got, and I'll save that. Now, if I go into the mouse button, I think it was left. We want to go move and click 138. I think it's something like 127. Well, I'm just going to guess something here. And just go, okay, now I'm not too sure on that, so we can just go back into, now you see that's gone to the wrong location. So I'm just going to drag it down. So I want that process to work there. I'm just going to edit that. I'm just going to go back into that active window and see where that is. So that's 136, 127. So that's about right as to where I want it. So I don't need to do anything with that now. Now, the first thing I can do is if I refresh on this side, I see the whole of the script through there. Now, when I save this, it's saving it. Now I can save as or something through here. This saves it as a PMC, so it's a macro creator file. But what I can do, actually we just cancel out of that. What I can do, once it's saved it as that, I can actually save it as a macro, as an AutoHot script. And I've got the activation key, so the hotkey to start it is one called escape. So I'm going to escape, I'm going to do that. So it's going to take this, but it's also going to set up the environment for you. So if we just go into here and I just go and open that file there, you'll see here's the actual macro that I've got. It's going and clicking at that location, and it's going to click at those coordinates, the left-hand mouse button, and only click once. We can actually click it twice or click it 20 times depending on what we want to do, or we can loop through if we want to do that, and then it's doing a sleep. And the sleep is just a pause because sometimes it happens so fast it doesn't give it time for the actual program to open. So sleeps are very handy to actually have, and you can always start shortening them down and making them a lot smaller if they start doing it. But this sets up the environment for you. So inside Pullover's macro creator is setting up the environment if you want those things. So now I've got that one running. I'm just going to kill that script there, and I'm going to save it, and then I'm going to run it. And so what I now need to do, I just go sit in this program now, and I'm just going to hit the escape key. Now it's opened up there. You see where the mouse is, and it's just clicked over onto that refresh button. Now that's quite good, but I'm now going to move this now across to here. I'm going to go onto a different one through here. And now if I go enter, you just watch where the mouse button goes. If I go escape, nothing happens. Oh, there it is. And now if I'm in here and if I go escape, it's going, because I'm already on that tab. I haven't told it to go into a specific tab, but it's going into that tab, whatever's open at that point in time, it's going in and refreshing. And it's refreshing there. Now that's because I've activated this window. So that coordinate relation to where it is in that window is the same. If I hadn't activated the window, and let's just not activate the window, we're now just going to refresh that, which is just click 138 left, sleep 10. We're now going to save that. We're now going to export it now, and it still has the escape. The file was successfully exported. We're going to come into here. We're going to kill this process through here. We're just going to save that through there, and we're now going to enter that. Now, and now that's running. Now, if I just go, I'm just going to cancel out of that one there, and now just go escape. You see it just shoots up and it starts that program off. Now, it's not activating the other window. It's just going there. If I was in desktop, and this might be a worry, and I just go escape through here, it's going up and it's trying to run this file explorer task. because that's the location. So it's not doing it on the active window. So that's where active windows means that it'll actually only work on that particular program, and the active window that it's asked for is Firefox or things. So that's the nice thing, is you can chop and change between stuff. Now, I'm not here to actually tell you how the program works or all this. I'm just really highlighting the fact that you can get these automation processes to do quite simple automation things which are bespoke to you. That means they're little things that you find you're doing constantly and you find it a bit of a nuisance typing them in. So you sort of think, well, if I'm doing that repetitiously, can I get a text expander to do that? Can I get a hotkey to do that? Can I remap a key to make sure you do that? Now, just as a warning on things like that, do not remap any of your QWERTYs, like any of your R's. If you remap R to being a hotkey or something like that, when you go to type a letter or type an email or something like that, you'll find that the R will be missing. It's been reassigned to something else. So make sure you assign a control shift or a control out or whatever to those sorts of things. It's a hotkey. The other one is, again, if you're using a text expander where you're using by the way or something like that, or it's a mnemonic that you're doing, make sure they're not ones that you'd normally type those keys in that sequences, and they don't end up like an ER at the end of a sentence or something, and then you're hitting spacebar for a space, or the THE or something like that, and then spacebar, because otherwise it's just going to text expand, which can be really frustrating when you're in another program and something mad happens with your program. So there's things like, what I'm trying to say is you can get quite easily wins from macros, and then once you start in them, you can suddenly say, well, I wonder if I can actually start doing something else. And so you can start learning a bit more. And there's a really good online help with a lot of these things. There's some videos on the stuff. A lot of other people have written a lot of macro stuff. There's also things like this Pullover macro, which is another free tool that's absolutely brilliant. So chance your arm, give it a crack, do that. And as I said, there is this is one that I'm just starting to play with now, that I actually want to start trying to transfer. I suddenly think, well, I've used AutoHotKeys and all of those sorts of things on my computer for years. Why don't I use them on the mobile phone? So there's a few finicky little things that I actually want to do on there that maybe you can actually have it so that you send your location to somebody and you say, this is where I am, and it pops up on a map for them or something like that. So it turns on your GPS and then sends the location or finds your location. You put it into an SMS to somebody else, and then it turns it off again. So you can do that. Now, this one I think lets you have 30 process or 30 individual event type things through steps running live. But that could be something like 10 apps running 3 little steps, or it could be one app running 30, and then that's what you get for free, and that's running all the time. I'd most probably just activate and deactivate as I want, and you can actually have little icons on your home screen so that you can just trigger them whenever you want, but you can actually have ones passively running. So these ones will be a bit like if this then that, but the nice thing with this is you're getting down a little bit more and being a bit more down and dirty, and there's seems to be a community that have a few apps that they will share around. So yeah, it's a good way to start into programming and to get some successes. And then once you've got those simple successes, you can suddenly say, I want to learn JavaScript now. And then you would have most probably learned a bit about looping, learned about variables. You've most probably learned about a few other things along the way, if-then statements and stuff like that. It's all the same. But, people would call these sorts of things like pseudo programming or pseudocode. But hey, it works, it does something, and actually it simplifies my life a lot more, and I end up with a lot of frustrations of things, and like just even opening 8 or 9 web pages first thing in the morning just on one key. It's a no-brainer. You don't have to think, which one is it, or where have I hidden them, or what short key have I got, what. You just need one shortcut key and stuff like that. Another thing that I just want to demonstrate with that particular one, I don't know if I've got that still open at the moment. I have, which is good. So I just come into this one here, and I think it's Control 3, 4. It's 4, Control 4. And what that is another hotkey that I've got for this one, is that it tells me what my hotkeys are for doing certain things within that. So I've written a script and I'm reassigning hotkeys or using hotkeys for something like that. And I keep on forgetting them. The other thing with this, you actually download, just as another thing, you download AutoHotKey. I'm talking about AutoHotKey rather than AutoHotKey. AutoHotKey is more generic in a way. That's more for IT people for things. I played with it in the past. I've come back to AutoHotKey again, and I've used AutoHotKey, and it's working for me at the moment. So I'll persevere with it at this point in time. Another thing, if you download the AutoHotKey onto your computer, it will run an AutoHotKey file. So an AutoHotKey file is just a text file with a .akh, and it's got to be scripted in the way that it needs to script to actually run these files through here. Now, once you actually run those, it will compile it and run them, and they sit down in the tray. Now, what you can actually do, I'm just going to delete this one through here, delete, is that once you've actually got it working and you've got it the way that you want, you can compile that script. And when you compile that script, it's going to get sulky about it and do something. And then it goes and does it anyway. It's compiled that script into an exe file. Now, you can hand that to your mates. And if they're using the same programs, whatever programs, or you're bringing something to the fore or whatever, it'll work on theirs. They don't need to load down all the hotkeys. You've just given them a script that will actually just work on theirs. So you can do all the updating where you're doing the programmatic bit. They just run the program and just say, these are your hotkeys. Or here's your help file, which is just use Control-Shift 2, and that brings up the help file, and that help file is just a message box that you just kind of go inside that message box. What did I have on that one? That was Control, I think it was Control-Shift 3 or Control-Shift 4. Was it Control 3 or Control 4? I think I've killed that one process, have I? No, it's still there. Oh no, I may be in the wrong environment. Oh no, it shouldn't. Control 3, Control 4, Control 5. No, it's active down here. Still active through there. And it's only when you press the OK button that it disappears again. You know, so what was that? Control 3, I think. No, Control 4. There we are. And then it just, you see the mouse, if I actually just cancel out of that, put my mouse over there, Control 3, Control 4, sorry, again, I can actually just use Tab and just tell that. Okay, now I can't put something there. But you know, that's something that you can just pull up and have an explanation. So that's an easy way of doing something, so you don't actually have to start looking about Win active boxes, things like that for all the stuff. You can just have a little bit of the information pages and things and just screen all the way through, and you can make that box as big or small as to what you actually want through there. So it's transportable as well, and that's one of the things. You start off with a reasonably buggy sort of a thing, but over time you'll find that your coding actually improves, and you end up being able to actually do some quite inefficient stuff. The other one as well is that you look at other people's code and just see how they do things like that. You know, like some of the ways, some people do it some way, some people do it another way. And as I said, a lot of the online help, and there's quite a few YouTube videos on people doing things, and they're set at different levels as well. So I hope that's been of help to you. If you found the video helpful, please give a thumbs up. A lot of these links and stuff will be inside at the bottom in the comments area. So thank you very much for watching.